Hey guys, to help run the forums, host the website, and travel, we've introduced a universal service fee for in-depth coverage, including this video. My goal is to be unbiased and transparent. It's a privilege to serve you. This is not an endorsement. Let's get into it. Hey guys, we're here in Seattle, Washington. I'm here with the founder of Ariel Rider. This is a company I've been working with for a while. When did you guys start, Arda?
About 7 years ago.
7 years ago?
Yeah.
Man, we've reviewed a bunch of your bikes and they kind of follow this naming convention where there's like, this is the D series, and that's because it has dual motors. And I think that is so cool. I mean, this is like a scrambler type of platform.
Yeah, it is, yeah. It's a lot of fun to ride. You'll see it in a bit.
It is really, and not just for one person, but check this out, you guys. They got these little flip-up platforms. He was kind of calling them pegs, but I like that they're a little bit bigger than pegs. And that way you could support maybe a couple riders, maybe depending on weight. You were estimating like 320 pound max.
Yeah. More than 2 people is like a little bit extreme, I would say.
I wouldn't go for
Maybe
3
not,
people.
yeah.
It all depends, man. So this thing is just fun. Like he was saying, in addition to having these 2 motors, which are 750 watt nominally rated up to 900 watt peak, you've also got 2 different drive modes. So right down here you can see, it might be a little bit more visible on this side, 12 magnet cadence sensor. It's more precise, more responsive. So as you're pedaling, as you're starting and stopping, it's going to start and stop those motors more quickly, more naturally. Cadence sensors aren't quite as smooth and natural as like a torque sensor or a multi-sensor, but they don't require that you push especially hard. You just have to move the crank arms to activate it, and then you can determine how much power the motors put out by selecting that with the display. The reason I'm calling that out on this bike is because with this awesome like padded banana seat, it's custom by the way, so it's comfortable, and they've got these like retro styled stripes on it, kind of a stitch design, and of course their logo. They do a really good job, and I love their logo, very classy. But you can't adjust that up really, and so to get full leg extension, you sort of move yourself forward a little more if you have shorter legs, or move yourself backwards. Or maybe you just don't get full leg extension. This is more of a fun bike than like a performance athlete bike where you're optimizing everything, even the aerodynamics and stuff. It's a fat bike, and there's no suspension fork, but you have these awesome extra wide tires with some tread, and the tread actually takes off a little bit of that bumpy feeling depending on what sort of terrain you're on. We purposely chose this lot because it's like dirt and there's some off-road. We're gonna go check that out in a minute. These are the Kenda Crusade Sport, and that is a reflective logo that you're looking at there. So, and that's kind of nice because this is an all black. I believe it only comes in black, kind of a satin color. Everything is color matched here, including these aluminum alloy fenders. They're gonna keep you dry, which is another nice thing since we are in Seattle and it's been raining a little bit. But I was surprised. So aluminum alloy, aluminum alloy, aluminum alloy. This is all aluminum alloy. And a lot of times I'm used to seeing like steel on certain parts of bikes, but steel, if it gets scratched up, it can rust a little bit more. So coming back to wet environments, I think that's fine. Aluminum tends to be pretty light. It doesn't have quite like the vibration dampening qualities of steel. However, when you've got these big tires, again, you know, and a good range of tire pressure options, 5 to 30 PSI. So 30 is gonna be more efficient, and that's gonna be if you're mostly on like paved streets and stuff. If you're going off-road, you can drop the pressure a little bit for kind of this loamy terrain, and that's gonna spread the tires, give you some more traction, and of course comfort. Not as efficient, so your range might suffer a little bit. And you can actually take stuff like this off-road on like sand and snow even. If you really go down close to that 5 PSI, you just wanna make sure you don't get a pinch flat, which is where it's so low that you hit a sharp rock or curb and it pushes the tire in, it squeezes it and it pinches the tube, it pinches it, and it gives you that snake bite pinch flat thing. So anyway, back to some of the hardware here. We've got these nice thick 12 gauge spokes front and rear, and you need that when you have such powerful motors and potentially heavier weight. But with wheels that are smaller diameter, 20 inches by 4-inch tire here, you already get a ton of strength, and that gives both of these motors a mechanical advantage. So this thing can climb pretty effectively, and you know, that's important if you've got a couple people on board. Also, check it out, hydraulic disc brakes. These are from Tektro. We've got the nice adjustable reach levers up here. I'm calling these 3-finger levers. You could probably just use a finger or 2, and because they're hydraulic, it's not like the rear brake takes more hand force, and you're not gonna be dealing with cable stretch. You're also not gonna be dealing with water and stuff getting in and kind of just gunking it up. Like with mechanical brakes, they can sometimes be a little easier to adjust aftermarket with your own set of tools, but my preference is definitely hydraulic for performance, and shops these days, they don't have a problem, you know, messing around with those. While we're down here, I want to point out that these are 160 millimeter disc brake rotors, okay? You can have 180, you can have 203 if you're on like a downhill mountain bike, and the wider diameter gives you more cooling surface and a better mechanical advantage. But when you have 20-inch wheels, see the smaller diameter, you already got a good mechanical advantage. It's the same one that makes this an effective motor. It means you don't have to have as big of a disc brake, and it's not going to hang down as much and get as dirty and stuff. So I'm fine with that. I'm pointing out these specs because you might be comparing this back to back with other bikes and be like, well, that one has 180. On a bike like this, I feel like 160 is just fine. And they did a great job. Look at these Welgo pedals. These are some of my favorites. They're not the most expensive, and yet they are nicer than the cage-style platforms that get bent and sharp if the bike gets laid down. They've got a nice adjustable length kickstand on the left side. And of course, this is kind of a purpose-built frame where it's like a wider 135 millimeter hub spacing, 170 in the rear because of the fat tires, because of those bigger 80 millimeter rims. They could have potentially punched these out to reduce some of that weight, but that comes back to cost and stuff. And I have seen punched out rims where you see the colors, there's like a tire liner and stuff. But Ariel Rider has managed to keep this thing pretty affordable, in my opinion. $19.99 with the stock battery pack. It's a 48 volt, 14.5 amp hour, roughly, I think is that what, 700 watt hours, 690,
690
something like that? Yeah. And then they have another option. If you go from roughly $2,000 to, I think it's $23.99.
Yeah, correct.
You know,
that model comes with a hydraulic suspension fork, and then the battery is 17.5 amp on that one.
Excellent. And what he's calling a hydraulic suspension fork, it's just a spring fork with hydraulic lockout. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And that could give you even more comfort. You know, coming back to this tire pressure being one thing to adjust. Suspension fork is also nice. And just the whole setup up here. This is like I think this is a double crown. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
And you can slide this handlebar segment, stem. It's all one piece of aluminum here. You can slide it up or down, and there's like a min insertion point here to give you a little bit of adjustability. But it's not like where you have an adjustable angle stem, and you really can't get a different handlebar that sweeps back. You're kind of working with what you get here, but it's fairly comfortable, especially if you slide your body back and forth on that banana seat. And look at this. I mean, gosh, we got a nice little cup holder feature right here.
Adjustable, you can adjust it.
Whoa,
yes.
That is awesome. We were actually putting this to use earlier. We went to get some drink, get a little bit of coffee and go for a ride, but we were joking about it. It's like if you're going off-road over bumpy terrain, you might want to drink a few sips so we don't end up with like a hazard zone going on here. And check it out, there's like bottle cage bosses on that down tube as well. I need a high five for that one, buddy.
Yeah.
That's
After you pointed out so many times, a million times.
Well, I mean, you might want to put a folding lock right there,
we
right?
did it now. You have this and then you have this.
That's great.
Yeah, you're gonna be...
I love it. And one of the consequences maybe of overdoing it and not having those punched out rims and stuff is that the bike weighs like 74.6 pounds.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean,
It
frankly,
is fine. This is a fun bike. It's not a performance bike, so the weight is not the first priority here. The priority is to make it as fun as possible.
And sturdy if you have those extra people. But look at this. It's like internally routed cables and stuff. Not all of them. I think that might be the rear brake.
Yeah, that's a brake.
Yeah, right. Okay. Actually, no, you know, is that the brake? Because
that goes to the other way.
Oh, so they both are routed. So some of the cables are not internally routed, but a lot of the wires for the electronics are, and I like the wire wraps and stuff. This does have integrated lights, super bright, and I'm going to show you those in a second. But I don't want to forget to tell you that the other thing you get for the $23.99 is a higher capacity battery. So it goes from 48 volt, 14.5 amp hours to like 17.6. Yeah. Significant upgrade right there. And that's nice because with two high power motors, you could really be like pulling on that motor, potentially a rear passenger. So that's great. Before we get to the display and some of that other stuff, I want to talk about the drivetrain. So we've got 14 to 28 tooth cassette in the rear, 7 speeds with a very entry-level Shimano tourney derailleur, right? You've got some screws there. You can adjust it over time as the cable stretches and it goes out of tune. And you can see maybe a little bit of rust and stuff here. This is the kind of thing where you lube the chain occasionally, you update that cable, you know, the tension and stuff so it shifts properly. This is a cheaper part, but it's also cheaper to replace. And for a bike like this where you're not that athlete who's pedaling and in a race or something, it's just nice to have more than one gear at all. Up here, I think, is this a 48 tooth chain ring, Arda?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, 48 tooth, so it's a little bit bigger, which offsets the smaller wheel size so you aren't beating eggs. And we do have a nice plastic chain guide, so it's not going to bounce off as easily, and it won't gunk up your pants if you're pedaling, right? So this is like their used version where you've actually been testing and stuff. And
I tested it a lot. Yeah,
I really appreciate it. It's nice to see just some of the actual use happening with this bike.
Yeah, I mean, this winter it snowed a lot in Seattle, so I actually took this bike out to test like how the all-wheel drive.
How did that go?
It was amazing. Like the cars were stuck in uphill, and I was able to zoom uphill. They were cheering at me. I'm like, yeah,
that's awesome. That's one hand waving with the other hand. See ya.
Exactly. So that's why there's like rust on it, because you know they put those
salted roads and stuff like that. So, you know, my point here was like, we're being honest with you, and that's part of why you're here. We're talking on camera. That can happen over time, but it's also a cheaper parts to update. And frankly, a lot of people have a little bit of rust, and you can just kind of lube the chain and it'll still run just fine. So that's fine. What else are we looking at here? We got this funky thing going on.
So we have new accessories for this bike. We have the rear rack, and then the rear rack also has we have the basket, which you can put it on the rear rack.
Wow, will you stand behind it and just show me what that looks like? Because this is kind of a neat feature.
It will be like this.
Yeah.
Once it's done.
It's almost like a backrest for the second passenger a little bit.
And then we have the front rack option as well. So this basket also goes on the front rack as well. So this basket is, you can put it into these holes. We have this plate here. We will have this plate here. So it just goes onto the fork. And then you can actually stabilize this, as you will see here. They're like holes. Wow. So you can use it like this.
It's very modular.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And I like that in this case, the light would still work, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bikes that are kind of heavier like this, sometimes, depending on where you live, bringing the whole bike up inside, it might be a little bit tricky. Yeah, please take it off. Thank you. I really appreciate that. About 8.6 pounds for this. Each one of those motors is like 8.15 pounds, and that's coming back to some of the weight. We weighed it from right here, and the bike balanced perfectly, which to me was very satisfying. So here's the battery pack again. You can see the 48 volt, 14.5. It's got a little...
You can check, if I turn it on from here, you can check the
charge level.
Yeah.
And that is one of the questions, trade-offs kind of thing. Here's the charging port, by the way. It's a two-step process. And so if you get on the bike and you're like, why isn't it working? You're pressing all these buttons. The battery, and in some ways that helps to prolong the life if you aren't using the battery.
It does. But
that battery pack, I like that it's removable. It does have like a handle underneath. And if you live somewhere where it is snowing, like Ardo was talking about, and you know you're not going to be using your bike for a while, and frankly, if you have to park your bike outside, I usually bring the battery into a place that's cool, that's dry. Extreme heat especially can be hard on batteries, and extreme cold can just kind of limit their range for that ride. I don't think it's quite as hard over the long term on the lifespan of the battery. So these are just some quick tips for you. Try not to drop it. Of course, they're sensitive. This is 18650 lithium-ion cells inside. What were the brand? Samsung?
Yeah, they are Samsung. Yeah,
Samsung cells, so pretty high quality. And I think the warranty on your bike was like a year for the motor and battery, and like a couple years for...
Yeah, for the parts, like quick wear and tear parts, we don't give warranty on them because they are quick wear and tear. And the frame has a lifetime warranty on it.
Lifetime, not bad. And it's tough. It's a tough frame. And you guys have been in business for a while, like we talked about. It's predominantly online, direct to consumer.
Yeah, predominantly like that. We do have a few shops that we have been working with for years and years now, but predominantly we're online. And yeah, we built everything according to that. For example, one of the questions that we get is, if something goes wrong on our bike, how can we fix it?
Yeah.
So we design our bikes in a way that everything is plug and play. So if there's anything wrong with your screen, these are all easy connected. So we just ship you a new screen. Let's say you just click it in and it works.
There are a lot of settings to go through with the display, and it's a pretty neat system. I should say, back at the site, I categorize this as like a class 2 by default, meaning it's pedal assist and twist throttle up to 20 miles per hour. But there's actually some settings in there you can adjust. You can go a little faster, because with a bike like this, sometimes you want to go off-road, or maybe if you're commuting or something like that and you just want to keep up with traffic a little bit more, that would make it a class 3 or a class 4 depending on, you know, your circumstances. So, you know, the cool thing is, at least if you mount the bike like this and you're like, oh, I forgot to turn it on, you can reach right down here, and it's pretty, yeah, there it is, right back there. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. So this is the cockpit. We got these rubber grips, not locking, which means you know, actually, is this locking? Because it's got the plastic piece.
Yeah, that one is locking. This part is separate. Since this is the throttle.
Yeah, they look so similar. It almost looks like a throttle over here, right? At first I was like, can you do both motors? And it's like, that's right, this one's only the throttle, but they match really nicely. And the cockpit's pretty clean considering how many buttons there are. This toggle switch down here is really unique. Left does the rear motor, right does the front motor, and if you balance it right in the middle, that's both. And so all-wheel drive is going to probably use more energy, but that's going to be the best for loose terrain. And again, being that it's such a powerful motor in a smaller wheel, there's more potential for kind of slipping out, spinning out a little bit if you're really, you know, juicing it. So kind of ease into it using the twist throttle. And then this button pad up here is what operates the LCD display panel. You can hold that power button for just a second and it boots up. Check it out, color. Gotta love that. Lots of great readouts here. We've got current time, voltage on the battery with a little infographic, and I believe that can switch to percentage as well. Miles per hour and speed, we could change that to kilometers if we wanted to. Watts that the motor is using, trip distance, time, and if we press the power button one time, it kind of cycles through to odometer down here, range, and then it goes on to the right, max speed, average speed, and back to time. So there's great feedback. It's pretty easy to read. It's really close to you, and it does adjust, like swivels a little bit for glare. Not removable, which is the case for most of these displays these days, it seems like. There's a little bit of potential if you're parked at a bike rack or something, or just over time for sun to wear it out. But as artists said, they do have replacement parts and stuff, and you could probably get an upgrade at some point if you need it. We've got the bell. We've got that giant, like, it's the SIS index shifter, and instead of like little triggers that are easy to reach, you have to kind of stretch up here, but because the buttons are so big, you can use gloves and it's a little bit more, it's less likely to kind of bump the wrong thing or have to be so precise. And the reason they use this, I think, a lot of times is because you've got this throttle, and see there's this housing here that it kind of blocks the space, and so if you did have little trigger shifters, they would be really inset. So that's why they chose that shifter, and it is pretty intuitive. You can see like the number, what gear you're in, and it's doing just fine. So I think that's kind of it. There's a plus and minus button here to raise and lower assist, so we took it down to 0, and let's see here if I can kind of, I want to do maybe just the rear one, and it's not doing anything right there. So if I go up to the first level of assist, now it activates. So this is the type of system where you don't have just throttle only mode, and in some ways it's like, well, you know, maybe I don't want it to activate the motor if I'm pedaling, but if you're in the low level of assist, you probably wouldn't even notice it. And let me just do another test. There we go. And then if I take it up to a higher level of assist, 5, that's the top, much more powerful. You guys can probably hear the difference. So the reason I'm calling this out, and the reason I'm glad you're here, Art, is because basically the throttle activation is limited in power by the assist level.
Yeah.
I think it would be kind of nice if you could be down in an efficient pedal assist level and then just override it with the throttle.
Okay.
You guys thought about that?
We can think about it.
Yeah. Okay. This is something I call out occasionally, and it's not.
Just a bottle case holders now.
This is my personal preference, and I'll tell you why. For me, it's because I might want to be pedaling efficiently, but then when I see someone trying to pass me, I want to juice it, and I don't want to have to click the buttons. But at the end of the day, the buttons are
two clicks.
They're very easy.
It's not like you go upstairs and like check something, come back.
That's true. Yeah. You're taking this feedback well, but my job is to review the bike and give you guys just some different feedback. Other pieces of feedback is if you hold the minus button for a few seconds. Oh, there we go. We got walk mode, but it's actually going on both wheels, which is interesting because I'm going the full exploration.
Walk mode is an override, so that's why it uses both of the motors.
See, you do like overrides. Maybe we'll end up with a throttle override at some point. This is great, guys. Plus button, that is the lights. So look at the display right now. I'm going to try to get it. I know there's glare. We hold the plus button. See how it went dim? That is so cool, because if you're riding, you don't want bright stuff in your face if it's dark out. And this light is amazing. I mean, even kind of from the side you can see it. It is so bright, so bright. We got a lot of LEDs there. It's like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 LEDs. I'm still seeing the light, and I'm gone. I'm not even. And then in the back, looks like we've got a 5 LED light that's built right into the battery pack. So I like that this bike has integrated lights for safety. I mentioned the reflective like logo marks on the tires a moment ago. You do not have to leave the keys in. So I think that's a pretty good overview. They also have a nice little USB port down here. I think this is 5 volt, 500 milliamps, which is really more of kind of a maintaining level of charge. You need like an amp or above for a lot of today's devices, especially iOS devices. So it's still nice to have, and you can get little speakers or some lights or something fun for the bike. I didn't see a USB port on the battery pack, so it's just on the display, but that's nice. Not a lot of bikes actually have that. More are starting to.
And one thing I need to
metal housing.
Yeah, it is.
That's
one
neat.
thing I want to point out is the reason why we have these two is not because of the robustness. I can actually use a thicker one and it will be okay. The reason why we have two is you can actually put your phone holder here, and then you would have both of them at the same aligning, and you can actually easily charge it.
Very smart. Yeah. It's like an accessory bar for you.
Exactly, yeah.
And you could probably remount this one down here if you wanted to.
It's very easy. It's just screws.
That is so cool. Maybe I'll take a quick ride on this thing, and I'll circle around.
Let's fold these when you're riding.
Good call, good call. And one thing I've noticed is that, like, if the bike's riding forward and you've got your foot down, you don't want to run over your foot or hit your ankle. Is that what you were thinking, Arda?
Yeah, that's why I said let's fold them up.
Very good. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. So I'm on the bike. Again, for me, my leg extension isn't maximized, and I'm probably going to rely more on the throttle for fun, but I'm going to start off with pedal assist. And I'm going to do both motors just for fun. I'm going to start off in pedal assist 5. It's the highest level, and so it'll be the most pronounced for you guys.
Start with a slower one.
Start with the slower one? Is it because it's going to spin out a little bit?
It spins out a little bit, and it accelerates very fast when you have two motors. So at first, I always tell people start with lower pedal assist level, gradually get up there.
I hope I don't crash, but I'm just going to try this, like see what it feels like. There we go. There we go. We got it. Whoa, very nice. You know, starting on gravel like that, it didn't feel too out of control to me. You know, there's definitely more power coming from this thing, and Arda's being extra, you know, sensitive and wants this to go well for us. I would say definitely that as with most cadence sensors, there's an on-off feeling. So right, I'm pedaling, on, I stop, off. It's not like a smooth ramp up. It's kind of all or none, but it works just fine. You can see I'm not getting that full leg extension. Feeling pretty good. Kind of an upright body position here. Definitely easy to go off-road. Feeling pretty stable. A little bit of drift here because I'm filming with one hand, but those bigger tires give you a lot of surface area and comfort and just the ability to go off-road. So I might do that here in just a second. Howdy. Okay. Turning it. Nice. Very good. And just for fun, I'm going to do the rear motor now because I think that's probably the best for conserving energy. Even though the bike itself is balanced, when you start to accelerate, your body weight shifts backwards, especially if you have a second passenger or a cargo rack. Right, and then these geared motors, they tend to be lighter and smaller than gearless. They freewheel efficiently. It's not like dragging when you're coasting. You're not fighting the motor, but there is a little bit more noise, kind of that buzzing that you hear, right? There we go. And this is, it's interesting. We're in the 5th level. So this is the highest level of power, but it's just that much quieter. I'm going to do the twist throttle now. Beautiful. Variable speed, so I could start out here and twist just a little, and that motor's just going to give me a little bit of power. That's nice for starting out, especially in level 5. Like right now, I'm just barely getting some support. It's not making me feel unstable. And then that light is just awesome. Love it. It's aimable as well. So if this was night, I'd be able to kind of spot the landscape. It's definitely checking that be seen box, but I suspect that it'll also help you actually see where you're going. Now I'm going to do a little bit of off-road riding, some climbing, so got that in all-wheel drive mode. Switch off my hands here, and I'm just going to do it slowly with the throttle. Well, this is the kind of terrain we're going over. There's a pretty big hill right there. Let's see if we can take it. That's spectacular. We're actually bucking the front wheel off the ground a little bit because, again, no suspension. And these tires are maybe a little full, so it was a little bit bouncy. But we went over, you know, there's like a big stick laying down, and this is not very level terrain. And we climbed over there pretty effectively. That was just fairly steep. I'm impressed with that. I want to go see if Arda will do a double thing with me. There we go. There's the display again in a darker setting. Start to see it shine up. Oh yeah. Probably have to be careful with these wet roads so we don't slide out. Hey buddy. Woo! Hydraulic disc brakes in action. Oh yeah. Will you, can I ride with you?
Yes, you can.
We do a double person thing here?
Oh, like
I want to try it. I want to try it. Is that okay? Here.
Sure.
So you'll hop on first. I'll hop on next. Yeah, of course. All right, if you...
Hey, famous last words.
You made this thing, right? I mean, if you don't trust it...
No, I trust the machine. I don't trust my riding skills.
There we go. How much do you weigh, man? Do you mind saying?
I'm 225. Of course, I don't mind.
225, and I'm 135.
And we're going uphill now.
Do the math here. Look at this. And be careful because it's like a little bit wet. We don't want to slide out.
Okay. I just want to show that it can go uphill.
Okay, here we are.
I'm starting now on the hill. And it can still easily take us uphill.
Nice, man. Yeah, I'm impressed. And it's pretty comfortable back here. Like for me, with sensitive back and neck, sometimes this sort of thing is, it's, you know, it's nice to be able to not have so much sensitivity, even going over some of those bumps. Like there's enough padding in the saddle. And frankly, for those who are doing two people, it's probably a good idea to get that bigger battery and the suspension fork option, just because you're going to need the extra juice to get to most destinations. On the website, I estimated the range on this like 20 to maybe 60 miles, and that really has to do with whether you get just one battery and if you're in the highest level of assist, or if you've got two and you're using...
Also, which motor you're using. Like if you're using both of them or if you're using only one of them, your range depends on that.
Yeah, it definitely plays a role. That's fun. Kind of kicking up some mulch here. Woo! It's a perfect setting. Yeah, do the uphill. Whoa, look at that. He's spinning out a little bit too.
Yeah, I can.
Oh boy. I noticed the front wheel spun out with me more than the back because of where my body weight was. Look at that. That's a pretty steep hill, and he said he's over 200. That light is just super bright. Oh yeah. Yeah, your body weight naturally shifts forward, so a lot of stopping power does happen on the front, but you're coming off of this snow and ice environment where if you start to slide the front wheel, you can lay the bike down. So that's, you know, this is just kind of bicycle riding tips for you guys. I think that's it. But I want to ask you if you feel like we've missed anything, or if you briefly have anything else you wanted to highlight.
That's it. This is the fun part. Let's just ride it and show them how fun it is.
It is fun. It's awesome. You guys, thanks for hanging out with us. I hope this was fun for you and I've answered all the questions. You can leave a comment as usual, and I'll have the full write-up with the length, width, height, all those other dimensions and things back at ElectricBikeReview.com, and you can compare this to some other bikes and get some more information. Sound off if you have any other questions, of course. Love you. Ride safe. We'll see you next time.